All right, let's get into it. Today, we're going to tackle a question that, we all have to face at some point. What in the world do you do with an old pillow? And it turns out the answer is actually way more interesting and important than you'd think. So let me just ask you, when a pillow has reached the end of its fluffy life in your house, where does it go? I think for a lot of us, the honest answer is it just goes straight into the trash can. And from there, a landfill. But it really doesn't have to be that way. And that kind of brings us to what we can call the pillow problem. See, the reality is that most pillows end up in landfills. They're bulky, they don't break down easily, and they join this huge stream of textile waste. But don't worry, this guide is all about walking you through some much, much better alternatives. We're going to follow this really simple 4-step journey. You can think of it like finding the perfect retirement plan for your pillow. First, we'll see if it can be donated. If that's a no-go, we'll figure out what it's made of, take it apart if we need to, and then find its best final destination. Okay, so let's start with the very first and honestly most important check. Can it be donated? Before you even think about the trash or recycling, you've got to ask yourself, could someone or something else still get some good use out of this? So go on, take a good, hard look at your pillow. Be honest. Is it pretty clean, free from any, major stains? Is it still kind of fluffy and supportive? If you wouldn't be totally grossed out to use it yourself, there's a really good chance it's a perfect candidate for donation. And here are a couple of fantastic options. Animal shelters, for example, are often totally thrilled to get old pillows to make cozy beds for the animals. You can also look for special textile recycling programs. And, this is key, we're not talking about your regular curbside recycling bin. You'll have to do a quick search to see what's available in your community. Now, here is a super important pro tip. If you're going to donate it, you absolutely have to wash and thoroughly dry the pillow first. It's just a simple, courteous thing to do, but it makes a massive difference for the people and organizations on the receiving end. All right, what if your pillow is just too flat or stained or torn up to be donated? Well, don't just toss it in the bin yet. This is where we get to the fun part. Deconstruction, where we figure out what it's actually made of. So the first step here is super simple. Just take off any pillowcases or protective covers. What you do next is going to depend entirely on what you find inside. Is it feathers or is it that classic fluffy synthetic stuff? And right here, we've hit a major fork in the road. See, natural fills like feathers or down have a completely different disposal path than synthetic fills like polyester. Figuring out which one you have is the absolute key to this whole process. Now, if you have a natural fill pillow, you're in luck, because the best case scenario is composting. Feathers and down are organic materials, so you can literally just cut open the cover, empty the contents into your compost pile, and they'll break down naturally over time. How cool is that? But for synthetic pillows, it takes a little more work. First, you're going to have to carefully cut open that fabric casing. Then, just pull all of that polyester filling out. You'll end up with 2 separate piles, the fabric cover and all that fluffy filling. So, now you've got these 2 piles. What do? While the fabric cover might be recyclable if your local program accepts textiles, you absolutely have to check. The synthetic filling, though, unfortunately, that usually can't be recycled or composted, so that part will probably have to go in your regular household trash. But hey, at least you save the cover from the landfill. Okay, that was a lot of info, I know, from animal shelters to compost piles. So let's do a quick recap and bring it all together with the most important rules you need to remember for giving your pillow the best goodbye. You can think of this table as your ultimate cheat sheet. On the do side, do donate clean pillows, do compost natural fills, and do check for those local textile programs. And just as important, the don'ts. Don't ever put a whole pillow in your regular recycling. Don't compost the synthetic stuff. And please, don't donate a pillow that's really heavily stained or falling apart. So, if there's just one thing you take away from all this, let it be this. A pillow's journey doesn't have to end in a landfill. All you have to do is take a moment to check its condition and figure out what it's made of. That simple little action is the key to everything. And that kind of leads to one final thought, right? Now that you know how to give your pillow a much better send-off, it really makes you wonder what other everyday things are lying around your home that you could be saving from the landfill, just with a little bit of extra know-how.